Um, Good morning, everyone. Very warm welcome to Historic Environment Scotland. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Robin Turner. I'm Head of Survey and Recording, and I'm also the Chair of the Archaeology Training Forum. Thank you very much for coming. I'm glad so many people managed to make it. We have a packed agenda today. We've got lots on it. You've seen the programme. There's probably too much on it, for which I apologise. I'm going to have to be very strict with the speakers, and Kate Geary, who's chairing part of it, is also going to be. So we've got a lot to pack in. This time next year will be an important anniversary for me personally. Next March will mark 50 years since I went on my first dig. I was only 12. After that, I dug every school holiday, every Easter, every summer until I went to university. And by the time I went to university, I was a site supervisor. But how could you do that today? Well, I might have joined the Young Archaeologists Club, or perhaps a local society, but would probably have struggled to get on to a dig until I was at least 16, if I could afford it, because you have to pay to go on training digs often nowadays. So before university, there are very few options to gain practical skills. And even in tertiary education, I'd be lucky to get more than a smattering of the training I'd need to become more than just trowel fodder if I was working on a commercial site. So how can we change that? In line with the aims of today, shown here, we'll start off with a series of quick fire talks to get a flavour of what's going on. That will lead on to the workshop session, where we'll be focusing on both infrastructure and the opportunities. In terms of the infrastructure, the framework for skills development, what additional acknowledgements or qualifications and training or CPD options should we be investing in, informal as well as formal, and how do we go about it? How do we provide the next generation of archaeologists with opportunities to gain vocational skills, especially early in their careers? Most importantly, I think for today, we need to make links between employers and training providers, and between sector representatives and those who create the infrastructure of qualifications and other means of recognition. In terms of qualifications, infrastructure is a bit of a labyrinth. I hope the sheet of background information you were sent along with today's programme has helped demonstrate the existing and potential opportunities, especially for those from outside the archaeology sector. But even for those practicing archaeology, you may have been surprised at the list. The National Occupational Standards are the foundation on which vocational training is based. They are current and relevant for archaeological practice and are linked to the National Vocational Qualification, the Skills Passport, and other formal and informal training regimes. But there's a gap in Scotland at further education level. This is going to be one of our hardest nuts to crack, but it will be worth persevering with this key link in the chain. At university level, the QAA subject benchmark statement for archaeology, which I have to say some university lecturers haven't even heard of, it emphasises the importance of practical skills for undergraduates, although this is not often adequately reflected in UK courses, something that the Chartered Institute for Archaeologists is working hard to chip away at with several UK universities. We need to get commercial concerns and other employers to work together with colleges and universities to begin to fill the gaps in vocational training. The importance of having a skilled workforce is recognised in Scotland by Our Place and Time, the sector strategy for the historic environment, and Stephen and Adam will be touching on this later. It's also one of the 5 themes of Scotland's archaeology strategy. And skills and training aspirations are highlighted at a UK level in the forward plan of the Archaeology Training Forum, which I chair, as I mentioned, and which has the support of the national agencies and other key bodies from the sector. Some of today's audience were at a smaller event we held in 2015, the report of which was linked to one of the emails that you were sent. That event was a response to the anticipated rise in demand from national, that's UK level, infrastructure projects like HS2, other transport infrastructure and house building. You can see they also had a problem in Roman times with road building and stuff like that, and house building. I'm not sure how they skilled up their archaeologists to do that. And the house building's not a new thing, but it is something that is a big thing in terms of government policy, both north and south of the border. On current evidence, this demand seems to be sustained and perhaps increased, albeit with peaks and troughs, and compounded by the uncertainties of Brexit. But this demand is not being met by the supply of a suitably skilled archaeological workforce. We should not just be looking at diggers. Pre- and post-excavation skills are in great demand, plus a spectrum of specialists. We need skilled museums archaeologists, marine archaeologists, community activists, and others. We'll hear this morning that a good deal of progress has been made since 2015. Things like the embedding of sector skills in the work of the national agencies, the coming of age of on-the-job training in archaeological units, the widespread adoption of the skills passport, and the accreditation of training and CPD courses. They're all making a difference. This progress reinforces the value and importance of working collaboratively. We'll hear about these and other steps forward as the day progresses. We might even hear that the shortage of skilled workers is leading to higher salaries in some parts of the UK. Perhaps the archaeological profession will one day be recognised on a par with other comparable areas of expertise. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Being able to demonstrate an ongoing need is the essential precursor to interest and action within and beyond the sector. Just before we get into this morning's talks, I thought I'd put up a slide of some of what I see are the key pinch points, many of which are reflected across the whole spectrum of archaeological activity, from community volunteers through to senior management in the commercial sector. There are many other important issues, like the training of our future archaeological leaders, or tackling the mid-career loss of women from parts of the sector. But we need to stay focused today. We have our aims. These are some of the main themes that need to be addressed by the sector, but in collaboration with others too. It's not just the archaeology sector that can solve this. So clearly there are lots of problems. Today's we're looking for solutions, or at least ways of finding ways to work towards them. So that's all from me to begin with as my introduction, and we'll now go to our first full speaker, which is Stephen Sheridan of Skills Development Scotland.